So, thank you for coming for another presentation. I called it the Voyager project or Voyager-Desktop because of some work Adam Schmidt has done 3 years ago at about on NetLabs.org. It's just a project name, nothing else, and it's not more than an idea. And the most important today is discussion about it. So there are no decisions made. I just want to try to show, in my opinion, what the current status is with EcomStation, with the community, and try to give an outlook where we could go as community in the future. Okay. Why I am thinking about the rewrite of the Voyager-Desktop. For me, the situation of OS2 and EcomStation has not changed for the last 5 years. If you look a little more close to the EcomStation code, even the 2.0, you will recognize that most parts are still original IBM code in it. Most parts mean 90%, even more. It's only partly working on the current hardware. I try to get in modern laptops, 400, 500 or whatever. EcomStation just will not run. Well, it will run, but for example, the network driver is not supported anymore. Siebert Fastenwald made one thing. He took an X200 or an 10, put on there a hacked BIOS to be able to replace the Wi-Fi adapter to get at least a Wi-Fi on this laptop. But for 99%, this is not an option to get networking. There are still unsolved problems on the base operating system of EcomStation. We have problems with the shared memory. Some parts of the situation will change. Maybe we will get Java in one time, maybe we'll get working Flash one time, things like this, but we don't know. As I tried to explain in my last presentation, using EcomStation or OS2 as main system in a virtualized environment for me does not make sense because programs on the native operating system, the host operating system, like OpenOffice or Mozilla Firefox, are working better. And this is also my opinion. There is still no other operating system on the market that has object-oriented GUI functionality like OS2 has, and this is the thing I really love in OS2. Mostly I don't care about the kernel, I don't care about the command line, about the TCP/IP stack. It just has to work. But what I want is the interaction with the desktop. So, what are the solutions we can follow? One of the solutions we call the classical approach. This will be further development by Mantis and Serenic system. For us, that means we have mostly no influence on further development. Mantis is doing her thing, and they are doing only their thing. And this is, for me, this is not good. For others, they may live it. There are still mostly no changes on the base system. So the major parts of OS2 and EcomStation 2.0 are still closed source IBM code. The drivers and application have to be enhanced and updated. And Mantis, so that's what I think too. I have no proof, but it's just a feeling I got the last years. They say we make money with it, we sell it, but they say it to companies. So they care about the needs of the companies, of the industry. So they focus on this. For a business point, this is the correct way. They find a solution or find a way how to make EcomStation or how to make money with EcomStation. But this is not necessarily the same focus than a user or customers that want to use OS2 at home will need. There are two different ways how to go. Okay, this is one possibility. The other one, classical approach would be to make an alternate fork by the community. This would mean we still need a license from IBM, or most of us have a license. It would be necessary to replace core functionality of the IBM code with own written code. And on the other side, this approach is mostly impossible because you can't re-engineer the kernel. The loader PM shell, things like this. It's we have to use the same API, and this is just for getting compatibility with OS2. And even if we are going this way, supporting new architecture is also mostly impossible because the code, the APIs, the bindings of OS2, they are just 15 years old. So even thinking about doing a new fork, it doesn't make sense to make a fork that is compatible with OS2 because the concepts 15 years ago or 20 years ago in OS2, they really have been outstanding. But now a lot of things has changed. The API is outdated. Actually, everything is outdated in OS2 Ecom Station now. Okay. Here are some reasons why users are still using OS2 or Ecom Station. And if you ask former OS2 users what was nice on OS2, why did you like it? For me, I found 3 answers. One is that it was a really fast, small, stable system with a very good backward compatibility. You can use software from OS2 2.0 that is still running on Ecom Station 2.0. It's just working because of the backward compatibility. You have maybe existing software. You don't like to change to a new system, and you have made some investments in that, so you don't lose them. And finally, you have the object-oriented GUI, the WordPress shell. It's just the whole concept. What we have seen in the past for the OS2 versions we have, the applications have not been integrated into the WordPress shell anymore. Personally, the applications I like most because of the integration into the WordPress shell was IBM Works and the local Smart Suite. Everything that came after was not very good integrated in it. But anyway, I think that most people do like the WordPress shell and its characteristics. Okay, thinking about this means which way is possible for us to go. Either we can go the classical approach to get the functionality of the WPS in the future. For me, this is not a way, because we stuck since 5 years on the same level, and I don't see any improvements in there. There are small improvements. There's an ACPI after 4 years of development that begins to be usable. There are enhancements in UniOut. There are always a little small enhancement in the operating system, but the main system itself wasn't changed since this time. So the idea is looking for a new approach. Okay, I mentioned it. It takes over the ideas of Adrian Geschwend with his Voyager project, and why it didn't work. So these are only some reasons. In the first idea, so Adrian could correct me if I'm wrong, but the first idea was really making a new operating system. That means we take a kernel, even we plan to make a new kernel later on. Said we take existing kernel, we put a userland on it and multimedia system and everything, and then even making the capability to run several personalities, so a Linux personality, OS2 personality, so you would have been able to use different compatible systems on your computer. But this was too ambitious, this project. It was just not possible to realize it. So the project, Voyager project, was introduced during Warpstock 2005 in Okay. Anyway, if it was successful or not, but most people during this session like this idea. Unfortunately, because of lack of resources, it finally could not be realized. So, what I'm thinking is we have to concentrate on the outstanding features of OS2. And nobody's interested if today the base system itself. So the base system means, as I told before, the kernel. The base system means the TCP/IP subsystem. The base system means all of the tools for copy or for rename or whatever files. Most people don't care about it because most people are not working with the command line. Most people are working with the GUI. So the object-oriented desktop is, for me, still the outstanding feature of OS2, even of ECOStation 2.0. So this is the reason why we call it the Voyager-Desktop 2.0. It's not more than an idea, than a project name. I call it 2.0. Everybody knows Web 2.0. It's just a new try. Okay. What would be needed in the future? In general, we need a common open source base system that has some things like it should run on current hardware. It has already support for common drivers, development environments, and applications. Our community is so small, we are not able to write drivers for every hardware. We are not able to port every software. It's just not possible. So we need as base, we need a system that has all this, like Linux, BSD, or whatever. It should have great hardware support because making drivers for hardware is just frustrating. It's working, then there's a new revision, it's not working anymore, you have to fix it, and the programmer who made the first driver may have no more interest in doing a driver or the same driver again and again. And another thing is very important, we have to attract other developers, not from our community, but from other communities too. Okay, in particular, we need an equivalent for the system object and the distributed system object model. This was almost completely defined by the NetApps object model, by Adrian and the other people. We need a good development of existing libraries like GTK, Qt, and other things, OpenGL probably. And we should think about including a scripting language like Rex to create simple applications and to interact with the desktop. So these are the needs I see for such a try to get not binary but functionally compatible desktop for OS2. Okay. Because of the interaction between applications and the base system, the workplace or the desktop itself, we can't ask the developers of the software, please integrate our desktop or please integrate the special functions of our desktop into your program. This is not possible. We have to deliver interface that the applications just can use and interact. And for sure we need a virtualization solution like VirtualBox that we still have binary compatibility with OS2 and ECOStation. It will not be possible to make a successor for ECOStation based on any Unix compatible system that has binary compatibility. It could be made with a huge number of resources, but we don't have these resources. So binary compatibility only can be made with VirtualBox. Okay, we have to define a framework for the Voyager-Desktop. We have to find a way to attract new developers. and we have to build a community around the Voyager project. Okay, this is just the idea. Questions how you can become part of it. That means the people who are thinking about have to choose a platform with forum, wiki, source repository, bug tracker, and roadmap. What else is needed? This is a question to you. And finally, these are the ideas we have, or especially I have. Open discussion is now. So what you are thinking about it, is there any chance to realize this project, or you just say, keep me alone, I'm OS2, or keep me alone, I only switch to another system, or whatever. So it's up to you.
Possibly I would ask first, did anybody see a part of this, what Thorolf just said, for himself or herself? Not at all? Did you see anything, did you see that as a problem, or don't you see that at all?
I see a problem, but I think we should first collect the essentials. We think we have to be realized. Okay, the workplace shell, nice idea, but when I see on one hand the object-oriented functionality is praised, and then they work with Norton Commander or something else.
Yeah, but why the people are working with Pi Commander or Last Commander? Because the original workplace shell never was made for moving big files or big directories. It's just not working. If this would work, you would use it, or you would stay with a Pi Commander.
But I think it's more than workplace shell. For example, as mentioned, Rexix. It's for me the only readable scripting language.
The thing is the following: we have to begin somewhere.
Yeah.
We can't have everything.
No, and my idea is first let's collect.
Yeah,
in a half year's discussion or something else, and then a small group should look on that collection. It should do the ranking or something else, and we did it when we were software developing 30 years ago. We collected everything, and then we said, okay, that's essential, that's nice to have, and that's further development. That means never. Or a further investigation.
Yeah, but this is the reason why we are here today.
Okay, today will not be the day when we have when we go out and have a full and good list of requirements. We should. No, okay.
It is just for brainstorming, just to bring an idea, and it's one of the possible solutions. Maybe there are others who have much better solutions. Maybe there are better solutions. Maybe Alex says, well, it's not needed. We will get ecom stations working as you desire. It could be a solution. I don't see the solution. So I was thinking about what are the solutions that are possible or not possible. Maybe making a new desktop doesn't make sense because there are already hundreds of desktops on the market. Maybe this could be the answer for this too.
And every other desktop likes to imitate Windows.
This is a problem, therefore I don't like them. This is my opinion.
Thorolf, you said there are hundreds of desktops. Yeah?
Maybe millions?
Maybe. For which system?
What?
For which operating system?
Mostly Linux, I think, or some other Unix, but again, the operating system is not the one thing you are interacting with. You are using your applications, and the applications interact with other applications over the desktop. This is the point. So for me, the desktop still is the concentrator of my work. I start the applications from there, or I arrange or manage my files from there. This is the desktop I still use, and therefore I need a good desktop. And for me, the OS2 desktop always was outstanding. You can ask Adrian and Christian, they have another opinion. They are saying that the desktop is not important more anymore in the near future. I don't know it. For me, it's
I said something different, but
yeah. But okay, everybody has another opinion. It's perfect. Therefore, we have discussion. Alex?
I want to ask for a little clarification here. You refer to this as the Voyager-Desktop. Now, I'm aware of the Voyager project. I've never really followed it very closely.
A little bit slower, because I don't understand if you're talking that fast. I'm sorry for that.
Oh, my apologies. Well, basically my question is this part of the actual Voyager project, or is this something that new that you're
The
proposing?
former Voyager project from NetLabs org does not exist anymore. There's nothing.
Oh, really?
That's the name, no,
I know they've changed focus a couple of times.
but the focus they have now, so the first focus of the, I tried to explain, the first focus was really making a replacement for OS2. The second focus was, well, just a desktop or whatever. But they moved to the semantic network. Adrian will explain it in the next presentation, so we will have another presentation here after this one, where Adrian will explain a little bit what he's trying to do with NetLabs.org, besides of giving a host or a platform for OS2 or EcomStation application. But this Adrian will explain later. So what NetLabs is doing has nothing to do with the Voyager-Desktop 2.0 idea. It's a completely new one. So they are not involved in this. It was me who said, okay, where I am, for me, there's no way to go on like it is now. We are losing all the developers because they are just frustrated. There's no ongoing on the development, just very little ongoing on the development. And this is, we have to find a way either to make the EcomStation more attractive for users and developers, or finding a new idea where we can attract more users and developers. And which one is the correct? I have no idea. I have no clue which is the better one.
Maybe a silly idea. But do you know Visual Age? Do you know that?
What?
Visual Age, do you know that?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
not very well. I know what it is.
Right. The concept is that it generates code, yeah, by linking, by pointing an object to another another object. Okay?
Yeah.
That is on an application level. Can it not be done on an operating system level?
well, I would really follow.
Yeah.
I don't know your name anymore.
Dieter.
Let's first enlist requirements and then think about how it can be done.
No, I think that's already step too far, because as I said in my introduction speech yesterday, and I think what Thorolf is going to say is, this discussion first should start which of the three choices or ways should we go now.
Yeah.
Keep the EcomStation way, keep the maybe IBM is doing something way, that it is based on more than rumors than anything, sound facts, or should we go the third way, making something new.
And before
This-
taking a decision, you need to know your requirements well. Otherwise, you can't judge. You need to know what you really want to see being available in 2 or 3 years' time, or let's say 4 or 5 years' time, that you have available for work. If you don't know what you want, then you can't decide. Yeah, that's it.
No, that's a fact. Yeah.
And let me quickly give a history of why we as the people, the active people behind NetLabs, or at least a part of them, don't focus on that anymore. The history, very short, was first I tried to see if we can redo everything, basically what OS3 still is trying to do. Pretty early I realized that's never going to happen with the resources we have, so let's focus on the interface part. That was what I called mainly Voyager like 4 or 5 years ago. Back then we had several issues, technical stuff, Xorg stuff, which I had a look at, which are mostly solved by now, by the way, by Linux community. But bottom line was that people like, is Daniela here? No. Daniela, for example, told me, why are you trying to do an interface for a mouse and a keyboard? Because I really don't think that I will use a mouse and a keyboard in 10 years from now. And that's when we started thinking about, like, okay, the concept of having a desktop with a mouse and a keyboard, I'm really sorry to say that, that was modern in 85. And it was okay in 95 because there was absolutely nothing else. But if you start creating a desktop which assumes that within 10 years from now we will work mostly on a mouse and a keyboard, I think we do something which we can throw away back then. That's my personal opinion. That's why I started to switch the focus with those guys around me here, and that's what we are actually trying to do. The Voyager project, as the stuff I presented in 2006, is in that regard no longer existing. What we do, what we work on, will get a new name. We didn't decide on that yet, because Voyager is, for you guys, what I talked about 4 years back, so I have to...
3-4 years, yeah.
Yeah, so I have to simply change the name.
There are copyright issues.
Only some minor.
So my point is, I really have to be honest on that. I'm doing NetLabs for like 13 years now, and it's quite a long time ago that a new developer joined, but it's not that long ago that developers stepped out of it. And I don't see any new people coming in here. So I made sure that the people I like to work with have a new focus. That's what we are doing right now. We try to make that the business. So we'll talk about that later today and tomorrow probably. And I don't see anyone getting into it which has the ability to work on something like that, because all the people I know which can do stuff have like 2 billion projects, because there are so many fronts which need to be fixed in this game. So that's not going to work, that's not going to happen. I'm really sorry to depress you guys in here, but I spend probably more money and time than most of you in here on this project, and that's simply the reality. So unless you want to get really depressed in a few years, and I have to say you are very depressed right now in my opinion, that's not going to happen. So my statement, and probably also Christian's statement last night to Thorolf, was like, try to think about the absolute minimum base of functionality.
What you want to see in some years'
What
time.
you need on any operating system, that can be a macOS or a Windows or a Linux, I don't really care.
Or a mobile phone.
Or a mobile phone, that you would get the feeling that, okay, if we are really good and if we do the job really well, maybe in 5 years from now, this will be kind of a desktop which reminds me of what we used to have on OS2. But then you really have to focus away from, having a desktop in 5 years from now is a nice vision, but don't announce that as the thing you want to do, because I can assure you, you will never succeed. That will not work.
You should, one of the things we start to explain to people is that a desktop is not the goal anymore. It might be a consequence of the work we do.
Yeah.
So one of the outcomes of the ideas we have might that there be a desktop which resembles very much, because that's what we stumble on in the work we're trying to do right now, is that it resembles a lot of the stuff you had in the OS2 desktop. But it's not our goal anymore to create a user interface which runs on a desktop computer, like with a mouse and a keyboard.
And the other thing is, look around. There's probably no one in here which is 20. People which are 20 don't work on computers anymore like we did mid-90s. I started using OS2 when I was 15, 16.
Yeah.
That was state of the art back then. I used to do everything on this box. 20-year-old kids, they use something like that, a bit bigger, like the one Thorolf has, smartphones. That's the new computer, that's the new desktop. Yeah, iPad, stuff like that. People will not use the computers anymore like we did when we started using OS2.
And the best case would be if we succeed with our work that will be shown to this afternoon and tomorrow. And as a side effect, we could create something as a desktop add-on for any operating system. So this may be a side product in some years' time. But having that as a goal and telling that to investors will lead to nowhere. You will not get any money from anybody. And this is required for serious work, as Adrian already told in Falconswap in 2007. We need serious money, and if you don't get it, you get to nowhere.
And I mean, that's pretty depressing for the Linux guys working on desktops as well. There are two big projects, there is Genome and there is KD. Those projects are probably as old as NetLabs. And how many people are using it? I mean, there's a reason for that, because there's no need for a classical desktop anymore. Even if I love the way how it worked on OS2, there is simply no need for it anymore. And I refuse to invest time or money and energy and I don't know what into something which is not widely used. I've been there with OS2. One time depression in the life is enough, I would say. So I told everyone which came to me and said, couldn't we do something? I said, I will support every project in terms of infrastructure, whatever I can do to make development life easier for you, but you have to bring the initiative, the developers, because I can assure you, the people around me have a different focus. And again, having something like a desktop or at least stuff like that might be a side effect of what we do, but it's not a focus. So whatever people agree on, it should make sense, and please really ask yourself, does the world wait for that? And if the answer is no,
don't expect it to come.
Yeah, it's probably not.
Yeah, and for example, if we, let's say in half year's time, agree on requirements that we want to see in some years' time, then we could earlier decide that a side product may be worth to try to build on top of our solution. So if we know the requirements that you want to see in some years' time, then it may happen more likely. Simple. If it's visible, we can go for it.
Don't talk about technology, don't talk about NOM
requirements
or whatever. Yeah. Just discuss what's the minimal feature of something you would want to work with. That's my advice, and I tell you that after thinking a hell lot of that stuff the past 5 years by now, at least.
Yes.
With a lot of people.